Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of our People at the Heart podcast, where we like to chat about all kinds of things, both serious and light-hearted. I'm Abbie Davis, and I'm the team leader at rebuildcostassessment.com and neurodiversity ambassador here at RiskSTOP Group. Axel is a bright, curious and much-loved 5-year-old who adores Dougie. He loves to watch Dougie and play with Dougie books and sticker books. He also happens to be autistic and non-verbal, which means he sees and experiences the world in his own unique way. In September of 2024, Axel's mum and dad were excited for him to start school, but just weeks before term began, his place was withdrawn when his Educational Healthcare Plan, EHCP, identified support needs the school could not provide. Since then, he has been at home, away from learning and social experiences every child should have. And today his mum Carly and his aunt Chelsea, who work for rebuildcostassessment.com, join us to share their story, their challenges they faced and their hopes for Axel's future. Carly and Chelsea, thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your story.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out for everyone to have us.
So, Carly, can you tell me a little bit about Axel's personality? So what makes him light up?
If anyone's got a child that watches CB, you should be very familiar with Hey Dougie, and he absolutely idolises that dog. So that's a massive thing to him. Hey Dougie is life at the moment. He's very another thing that makes him light up is he's very sensory seeking. So he likes he loves motion, so bouncing. He'll bounce on anything in the house, the sofa, the trampoline, the bed, anything. And we've also got a gymnastics bar at home, so he can hang off it and swing, and he really gets a lot of joy just from that motion.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can just see how happy he is when he's doing the things that he loves. Yeah,
Amazing. I have to say, gymnastics bar sounds like great fun.
It is.
Chelsea, as Axel's aunt, how would you describe him to someone that hasn't met him before?
I would describe Axel as a beautiful soul. He is just so warm and loving, and his smile, when he has that big, the big grin that he does, it melts me. He is just, he's beautiful, and he's absolutely handsome as well, which obviously gets it. No, I'm joking.
Carly, can you tell us a bit about the lead up to Axel starting school in September of 2024?
So on the lead up, we went through the same school process as any other parent would with their child. Went onto the website, you put what school you want. We went with our local school. We'd heard really good things about local school, and also particularly their SEND department, so the department that would probably be helping him more. And in the lead up to the summer holidays last year, so before the September he was going to start, we were having meetings. The teachers from the school were coming into his nursery to observe him, so they could kind of get a better idea of how they would need to help him and what they could do to help him. And then when it come to finalising his educational healthcare plan, that was happening towards the end of July. And so how it happened was that the plan got finalised. The council goes straight to the school to say, this is the plan. The school will read through the plan, and it's a very detailed plan. If anyone's come across one, it's not just a page or two, it's about 20 pages saying about all his needs. The school read it and they just turned around and said that we couldn't meet need. With this happening right at the end of July, schools had closed. We couldn't go to the school and say what's happened, what changed your mind. And all the school kept telling us was depending how much help we can give Axel depends on the plan, and depends with the funding that would come with the plan and how much they can do. So when we got the yes that he's got the plan, we were like, that's amazing. But and then within that next sentence of speaking to Axel's caseworker, it was, yep, he's got his plan. And then in the next breath it was, but the school was saying they can't meet need. So it was just everything that we thought was going to happen for Axel was just taken away. And we had a whole 6-week summer holiday where we couldn't talk to anyone. We couldn't get answers. We had brought the school uniform and everything. Literally, I think about probably about 4 days before that phone call, I had tried the outfit on him. So we were starting to get really excited. And then, and then to have that. So the decision there and then was, well, if they can't meet need, we don't want to send him. Yeah. And then it was having to reach out to his nursery over the summer to say, we want you to carry on with him for a bit because we don't know what to do. And it was just very emotional because at that moment in time in that July, nursery were having a few I think they were struggling with some of Axel's behaviour. I don't know, I almost felt like that he needed more than what nursery were offering him, but we didn't know what to do. We thought the school was going to be our saviour, and then it just got taken away. And it was just a whole summer of just thinking, I don't know what's going to happen to my child. And it just felt awful as a parent to think like that. Yeah.
Sounds really, really challenging. For those that don't know, can you explain a bit more about what an educational healthcare plan is?
So it's a plan. It's a plan that so if your child has any educational needs or any healthcare needs, you go through a very lengthy process, and anyone that has had an input, so from the parents, from any workers that have worked with your child, you also end up having a educational psychologist come and have their input, and then everyone's input gets put into this plan, and you all kind of club together and say, like, right, this is what this child would need if at school. So the school have a really good plan on what they can do for your child, and just so they have a massive heads up on what the needs are of the child.
Chelsea, what was it like for you to see your sister and nephew going through this?
Obviously heartbreaking. With Axel, I knew in the nursery setting it didn't quite work out the way that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I think in terms of support that they were able to give him, I think funding was an issue at one point because he needed one-on-one and that wasn't always available to him. So when he was accepted into the first school, which is also the first school that me and Carly went to, which is lovely, it was like, okay, so the chapter of nursery hasn't quite worked out as we thought. This is going to be a new chapter. It's very exciting. And when Carl's told us the news, it was I don't know, unbelievable, really, because I felt like people that were working with Axel were already aware of his needs. So why is it coming out this late in the process? I remember there being a moment, this is the moment where I realised how much it had affected my sister. Carly was at my house and we were sat on the sofa, and so we were talking about the situation, and she said, I just feel like no one wants him. And to hear that and to feel that about your child is just awful. All you can do, obviously, is like have conversations like this and try and support, but you do feel helpless. And I know other people in our family, you feel helpless because you can listen, but you physically can't do anything to change the situation.
So heartbreaking to look at that and just have so much doubt and so many unanswered questions as to what's next. And so I can really empathise that must have been, and still is, such a horrible, horrible thing for the whole family to be going through.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like we are in that stage where I just feel like I'm having so many people say, like, we really want to help. I really want to help you, and people that work in the education system are saying, like, I really want to help you, but there's only so much we can do. And again, that's down to, like, what they are allowed to do in settings and in schools. And then it's also down to funding. Everything. No one really likes to talk about the F word, funding, but a lot of it does stem back to it. And I think it's just, along with the EHCP, it also means that your child, again, this is something that not a lot of people talk about, with the HCP, that grants your child X amount of money per year. And that's for the setting to help your help your child as much as possible. And then depending on how severe the needs are, depends on how much money. And I even went back to the school and I said, if it's a thing about money, go back to the council and say you need more. If you can have him, but you just need more support from funding, do it, please do it. And I think like the school did say, they were like, his needs are just beyond what our training. They were like, he does just need a specialist school. And I mean, a year down the line, we still don't have like a start for him or a school for him lined up, because it's just, and again, I still feel like I'm in that no one wants him. Yeah. People want to help, but the people that can help and can make a difference can't do it.
It's so tragic because obviously this isn't an uncommon story. There is such a lack of funding and lack of training, and yeah, it makes you question why more people aren't doing something about it, doesn't it?
I think the only thing with people working in education, I think what it probably stems down to is that it would probably cost the council, the government, more money to train people.
Everything comes down to money.
It does, unfortunately, yeah. And that children like Axel were paying the price for it.
So you've spoken about your difficulties with the nursery and the education healthcare plan. So throughout this process of getting through nursery and going through and getting the EHCP for Axel, did you feel supported, or do you feel like you were very much on your own?
There was times that I felt support. But obviously I think like when it comes to more like negative emotions, they definitely outweigh the positive ones. Nursery wasn't always like a bad thing for us. Like we had times where Axel made like really good improvement there. Now I'm kind of hearing from other people, like a lot of people have reached out to me that work in nurseries or education, and they kind of question me and say, oh, what, like, why is he still not at nursery? Because I work in a nursery and we've got 2 5-year-olds that are still waiting for a specialist place. So we said to the parents, we will have them until they find that place. And it just kind of makes me question, like, I know the nursery that Axel was at had a bit of like issue with staffing, which I completely get. But it was kind of like, well, we can kind of keep him on till Christmas and then that's that. And then after that, and then I was going back to the school that we had been in contact with, the school that Axel had been accepted for. And then obviously they turned around and said that they couldn't meet need. I kept going back to them. So while Axel had this extended period at nursery, I kept going back to the school. First of all, I wanted to know, why have you said no? Why have you said that you can't meet my child's need when we've had a lot of communication? They were very straightforward with us, and they said, like, you know, here's the letter we received from the council and here's my response. They were very open about it. And then I just kept going back and I was like, I don't know what to do, because the person that's supposed to be helping me is Axel's caseworker. And she's telling me that, you know, if we don't give mainstream a go with Axel, chances are he's probably not going to be accepted for a specialist school. And then I've got this mainstream school telling me, but his needs are too high for us, so he wouldn't work in a mainstream school. And I'm so what am I supposed to do? I then went to the middle kind of thing of going to a mainstream school with additional, like a hub, which seems to be a lot more popular now. So I went to another local one of that, looked around, and I thought, yeah, this would be better. So reached out to them, and they, within a week, their response was no. We can't take him on. He wouldn't be right for us. So now I'm like, I've literally got a mainstream school with a hub, both telling me no, the only answer we can have. But I don't think that was just because they've said no, because we hadn't given it a go to the council, that still wasn't good enough. So then it's a case of like, I think the mainstream school just was so, maybe just felt really sorry for me, because I just kept going back up there crying, thinking, I don't know what to do. And they said, we'll give him a trial. So at the start of this year, so 2025, they offered a 5-week trial. And he was going in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 10:30 he was done. Yeah. You couldn't get him to go into a classroom. Bear in mind, there was this classroom that was set up for kids with additional needs. So there was literally 4 kids in this classroom. It was a very empty classroom, and he still didn't like being in there. He liked being in the hall. He liked being in their little a sensory space called the cave, because it had a trampoline. Yeah. So he loved it in there. And then also he loved being in the hallways where it was a bit more open. So you could just, from the trial, that was our solid evidence. Mainstream doesn't work. He needs specialist, and that's our final decision. But still, we then have to take that back to panel, and the panel then have to decide what happens to my child. So they could have turned around and said, no, he's still going to go to a mainstream school. Luckily enough, they did say yes to a specialist school, but now it's that weight of we're still having to wait for schools. So where we're at the moment, schools have said that they can meet need. So we've got a few local schools that have said they can meet need, but then it's like, right now we just got to wait for a space. And anyone that's going through this process knows that spaces do not pop up often at all. And it's just, it feels like every single little step along this journey it's not a matter of weeks, it takes months. It takes months for you to make these little steps. So the whole process is just like so long.
Yeah. Really different, because obviously you're putting not only Axel's life but your whole family's life really in these people's hands, and you have to put so much trust in them, and you can't be blamed for lacking trust because of what's happened in the past. So there just must be so much uncertainty and anxiety just around that waiting process.
So where obviously Axel's not in a setting, the main person we're kind of leaning to is his caseworker, and communication with her is few and far between. But then it's a case of she's got over 300 kids to be a caseworker to. And again, it's like so many, but when I say that to people are like, why don't they just hire someone else? I'm like, because then they have to pay someone else. I think like she just covers an area. So any kid that pops up, right, this kid's got an EHCP, they're like, oh, well, they're in your area. There you go, add another one. And it's just, I do feel for her. But then like, obviously, when she's literally holding the future of my child in her hands, I'm kind of like, there's times I'm so angry at her. Yeah. And I'm just like, but then I do feel sorry for her because she just can't do her job. She can't be a caseworker to 300 kids. It's just not possible.
It's being angry at the system, isn't it? It's being angry at the process because it just doesn't work, and you can see it doesn't work, but the government's not fixing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Chelsea, from your perspective, what has been the hardest part of seeing Axel without this sort of any provisions?
So without Axel having any provisions, obviously there still has to be some form of childcare. So Carly and Max have to work like most parents. We all know how the cost of living is right now. They have to work. So there are times throughout the week where our nan, bless her, will watch Axel so Carly can go to work. Our nan is, what was she now, 70?
She'll hate us for saying that.
I know, she will.
She's 78.
She's 21. She looks fab. No, she absolutely looks fab. But so a lot of it falls to her, and some days, I'm sure Carl might say some, but it's a lot for her, isn't it? It's tiring for her. Axel needs more in terms of just being either at home with Carly and Max or at our nan's house. He needs more than that. You can tell he gets bored.
Yeah.
It's unfair on him because he's not getting. Every child deserves an education, whatever form that is. They deserve it, and he's being deprived of it. And it's not fair on him, and it has a knock-on effect for Carly, for Max, for family members as well. And the whole situation has just been bad, really heartbreaking.
Because he's not obviously only missing out on the education, but the social aspect of things, which obviously for any child is important, but arguably more important for a child with autism because it's so important for their development.
Yeah, it is. Over this summer, we did go through a bit of a struggle with his social side. I couldn't even get him out of a car because I'd open the door and I'd say, "Come on, Axel, let's go," and then he'd just scream. I remember being down where we do go and feed the ducks, and he just screamed the entire time. I think we were there for about 2 minutes before I was just like, I can't do this. And I think at the start of the year, the amount of times I just we'd leave somewhere and I'd just get in the car and cry because his social skills were just just terrible. And I just felt bad because I'm thinking, like, you should be somewhere. And it's not my fault that you're not somewhere, but I feel like it's my fault. And then I'm like, but then maybe I should be I'm trying to like socialize him with other people, like friends' kids and stuff. But most of them go to nursery. Most of them are in school. But yeah, I just kind of feel bad. Like, so I think laterally I kind of just stopped trying to, I don't want to sound awful, but stopped trying to make an effort, trying to meet up and socialise, because I thought he's clearly not liking it at the moment. He's getting so distressed from it. It's getting me upset. Why am I doing this when it's just both upsetting us? So there was a period this year where he was very unsocial. And then obviously because I'm on my days off with him, where I'm not getting out, I'm literally just sat at home with him, just waiting for my partner to come home, because I'm like, obviously I've not had any like human interaction almost. But so then, like, even though it was like lonely for Axel, that then, like you said, it has a knock-on effect. It had a knock-on effect to me as well.
Yeah. So, Carly, Axel's case has been taken up by Lib Dem MP Vicky Slade, and she used Deputy Prime Minister's questions in June 2025 to tell Angela Rayner there was no alternative provisions for younger people like Axel and hundreds of their constituencies. What do you feel needs to change in the system so that children like Axel are not left without provision?
Okay, I'm going to say the word again. Funding. It's funding. It's I mean, like, where Axel still isn't at school, and he's at that. He was 5 back in May, so the term after a child turns 5, they should either be in education or have some form of alternate provision. So that's where we are, and he's still not doing anything. He's still at home with me. When the caseworker come back and done a search for what alternate provision was provided for a 5-year-old, what come back was private tutoring, which I just laughed. I was just like, what does that, you're going to sit, is someone going to come around and sit him at a table? And the caseworker's like, oh no, they just come round and, they could take him out to a park. And it's like, it's just so hard, because you just think, like, why waste, because he's going to have to, it takes a while to build a connection with someone and to be able to think like, right, I can go to this person. So it's a case of, by the time they do that, and then realistically, how often is it going to happen? And yeah, it's just like, there's just no funding. Like, in the whole of the Purbeck area where we are, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that's the area that Axel's caseworker covers, because of other parents that I've spoken to in a similar situation. We all seem to have the same caseworker. So if she's got 300 kids to deal with in this area, out in Purbeck, there's one specialist school, but that's for ages 9 to 18. So in this whole area, there's nothing for these, like the primary education. And again, I know it's funding, but if they could just open up one school, how much it would make a massive difference to our area.
And that's the thing, and that's the difficult thing about it with the government, is that, they're not, by putting these provisions in place, they're not only improving the lives of these kids, but of their whole families. From a selfish point of view for the government as well, they're going to allow more people to get back into work more permanently. So you've got more taxes, more money for funding. Yeah. You'd think that was the logic thing to do. Mm-hmm. Apparently not. But that's what's is so difficult about it a lot of the time, is that you look at it and it's just so baffling to understand that, like, okay, but why? I understand there's a lack of funding, but why is there a lack of funding?
It is all down to funding. It's, part of me feels like the money's out there. It's not being put to use in the right places all the time. I feel like the government wants parents with children to, especially mothers, go back out to work earlier. We've seen the funding happen with the 15 hours and 13 hours funded childcare that you never used to be able to access until your child was 3 years old. Now it's been brought down to from 9 months. So they're obviously pushing for parents to get back out into work. And also, it's mad to say, but some parents, myself included, see work as a bit of a break, because you come away and you've got the part of you that's not mum. Like, you love being a mum, but work it's a good balance. And Carly is also being deprived of that as well, and she can't earn as much it's limiting Carly, it's limiting many other parents out there. And I just think surely like the circle is, if this help is here for Axel and children like Axel, their parents can earn more, which means more than likely you're going to spend more, which then fills the economy more, doesn't it? With all these, like, especially smaller businesses and stuff like that, we always hear like they're closing because the money's just not being spent. To me, it seems like a simple logical explanation. Perhaps it's not, but to me, it almost is that simple, and I just don't understand why it doesn't happen.
So we've spoken a lot about how this has affected Axel, but Carly, how have you sort of looked after your own well-being through this whole process?
The amount of times that I've just had to tell myself, like, no one else is going to do this for you, so you just got to suck it up and just get on with it. Like, that has been what I tell myself on a regular basis. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I don't think I've dealt with it well at all. Like Chelsea said, I go to work and that's my break. That's my break. I go to the gym once a week, which a lot of people would probably be like, it's not a lot, is it? But because of both me and my partner, me and Max, we run our own businesses. That's stressful itself. There's times where of an evening we're both sat on the sofa working, and so we have, it seems like so set, like a timetable each week, but he'll have 2 nights a week where he goes to like his run club. His run club's also like a bit of like a social thing as well, so that's his night. And then my 1 night a week when I go to the gym, that's my night. And we have that set, because if we didn't have that set, it would just be like, oh yeah, or I don't know if I really feel it tonight. Oh, I might go tomorrow, but then it would just kind of always clash. So we do have that, like, yeah, kind of a set timetable. And I say to like my partner as well, because he loves going out on his motorbike. That's his kind of thing. But I'm like, right, well, if you do that, you have to do that on one of your nights, because you can't do it on my night, because I spend the whole week looking forward to having that. And obviously as well, working out is good for the mind. Again, it's like what Chelsea said, just not to be a mum. And I'm such a I think a lot of parents feel like, oh, I can't turn around and say like, you know, oh, my child's doing my head in. I'll happily turn around and say that, because I feel like so many other people feel like that as well. And when I've had a day of it with Axel, I'm kind of like, I need to check out. So then Max will come back from home and I'm like, right, I'm going to go for a run. Because I'm like, I just need that like half an hour of just not being mum, and I just to not think about anything. Yeah, that's how we get around it. A very strict routine of what evenings we're not a parent, should I say. But yeah, other than that, I have had times where it's been really hard, and you kind of don't want to feel like you're being a bit of a burden to other people. Like the amount of times if like Chelsea said, I rely heavily on my nan to have Axel for me so I can go to work. With her age, I won't say her age again, but she, you know, when she gets ill or unwell, it does write her off for quite a while. So when she does get ill, and then I'm asking Max, like, how busy are you with work? Are you able to, the amount of times I've done it this year where I've had to start my day from 1 o'clock and then just carry on until 7, 8 o'clock while I'm waiting for Max to do his jobs in the morning, and then he can come back home early. Or, you know, I've tried to like ask someone else to help with Axel, and then because like you can just see like then they're stressing, and I'm like, well, if I just cancelled my customer, they wouldn't have this stress. But then I'm like, then I have that financial stress because I'm having to cut down work. And I just like, yeah, there's just been a few times where I just feel like, because I'm putting on my stress to other people, I just think like, I just feel like an absolute burden to people. And again, we wouldn't have this problem if Axel was in school. But it's just, yeah, it's crazy how it's then affecting my business. It's affecting my earnings. So then it's not just the stress of having Axel, it's everything else that follows on from that. It's hard.
With how amazing Carly's been. I'm so proud of her for doing everything she's done, talking about it, reaching out to the MP, having it spoke about in the House of Commons. It's a lot of work to already fit around in your life all the other things you have to do, and also the emotional toll as well of obviously talking about the situation out loud as well. And I'm just, very, very proud of her and for Matt.
So to the both of you, what are your hopes for Axel's future, both in life and in education?
Right now, it would be first of all get a school, and then to have that school say he can start on this date. That would be amazing. That's like probably more short term goal. I'd like to think that might happen maybe in the new year. Long term, I just want him to be happy. I just want him to be happy, to be healthy, and he is. He's a happy and healthy child. Like he's, as long as he's content and everything's going right for him, he's like the happiest little soul ever. And I just hope that he carries on with that throughout like life. And after, we've only managed to get in and visit one specialist school, but when we went in there and they just said, we don't worry about GCSEs, we don't worry about grades and exams. What we want to teach these kids is just life skills. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's what I want for Axel. I want him to be able, if he can live independently when he's older, amazing. Like, because I know that there's some autistic kids, as they grow up and go into adulthood, sometimes they do need assisted living, or sometimes they are living with their parents until well into adulthood. And there's some parents out there that have that worry of what's going to happen when I'm gone, because my child still, even though my child is 50, 60, they still rely on me heavily. But if Axel could just be independent, and that's all I could really ask for him to be happy, healthy, independent, and just that's the main goal.
Following on from what you said about like independent living, it was really refreshing when we had Robbie and Ollie come in from Autism Unlimited, and hear about their journeys and where they are now. And literally, when I finished for work that day, I told, obviously came home and told Carls about it, and said, like, firstly, you wear like Autism Unlimited, because they're obviously like local, being over near like Bournemouth way, and they have believe they have their connection to the Portfield School as well, which you were aware of, weren't you? Yeah. And just hearing their stories of what their life is like now, with them having like I believe it's called assisted living. So they're and hearing, I think it was Robbie who said like he enjoys it when once a week they go on like the food shop, and then they have people with them back in the accommodation where they're learning to cook and stuff. And I just thought that is what should be, and I hope is available for Axel.
That really shows what changes can be made and what is possible with the right support available. Positive to know that those provisions are out there.
I love seeing now like little local businesses where it's all run by people with additional needs, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, anything like that. And I think it's just amazing, like little cafes popping up. And I just think like there are more things out there for SEND people, and that's amazing to see. But it's just like this, like the government are still trying to like rein it in a bit and trying to limit what resources they have, and they just don't make anything easy.
So what advice would you give to other families that might be in a similar situation themselves?
It's so important for you not to lose yourself in being a parent. Like having your own time is huge, because before your child come along, you were you. And I feel like a lot of people lose that in being a parent. And then also like with the addition of being a parent to a SEND child, I don't know, just try, probably even more so, don't lose yourself in the process, because it's so easy just to go down this like rabbit hole of getting really angry. And I think like it took me a while. I remember like this time last year, I was like, I've got 4 months to find a school. And then and I was thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do when when Axel's not anywhere? And it took me a few months to realise, just spend that time with him, and just, as much as it is hard with juggling everything else with it, I just try and make the most of having him still with me before he's shipped off to school for 5 days a week. And we just recently rented a little camper to go away, and we went in September, so everyone was back at school and it was lovely and quiet. And I just thought, you know what, if he was at school, I wouldn't be able to do this. So it's just trying to find trying to find those little bits of happiness within the madness. I said to someone the other day, I feel a lot of guilt with it as well. You feel so much like you have parent guilt, and then I feel like maybe a parent of a SEND child feels a lot more guilt, especially when your child's not where they need to be. Maybe just validate my emotions a bit more and say that actually no, it's all right to feel like that. It's yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm allowed to feel like that because this is what I'm going through. No one else is going through it right now, but this is me, sort of thing.
I think Carl's has hit the nail on the head there, and it's important to talk. It never does anyone any good to bottle things up. We all know that. Expressing how you're feeling and having a cry, you always do feel, even though the situation's not changed, I think just by talking about it, you're going to feel just a little bit better after just talking about it and not feeling, like Carl said, ashamed at all.
I think that's why I'm so big on just trying to talk about it, because I know there's probably a lot of parents that wouldn't have the confidence to talk about it because they feel like they're going to talk about the really hard bits, and if they break down and cry on camera, then they look weak and they're going to look like a bad parent. There's as long as you're doing everything you can for your child and your child's happy, healthy, they get fed, they're going to sleep in a warm bed at night, as long as you're doing everything you can for your child, you're not a bad parent. You're just in a bad situation. 9 out of 10 times when you talk about the bad stuff, someone goes, oh yeah, do you know what, the other day actually, this, and I have it a lot with my customers at work, and I just think it's just good, because then afterwards, problem shared, problem halved sort of thing. It's just good to talk about every aspect, good, bad, whatever it is.
Well, Carly and Chelsea, thank you so much for sharing Axel's story with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
Carly and Chelsea, thank you so much for sharing Axel's story with us today. It takes courage to speak so openly about the challenges you've faced, and I know our listeners will take away not only a better understanding of the system, but also the importance of compassion and persistence. Axel's journey is a reminder that every child deserves the right support to thrive. We hope by sharing your experience it sparks more conversations, more awareness, and ultimately more action. No child should be left waiting for an education, and no family should have to fight this hard for what every child deserves. To everyone listening, if you've been moved by today's episode, please share it with others, keep this conversation going, and consider how you might support families like Carly's and Chelsea's in your own community. Want to see more of what we're doing around social responsibility? Head to RiskSTOPgroup.co.uk or follow us on social media. And that's all from this episode of People at the Heart podcast. Thank you to everyone for listening in. I, along with 1 or 2 other presenters, will be back soon with all kinds of things to talk about and different guests, so keep your eyes out for more episode announcements. And remember, here at RiskSTOP Group, it's all about keeping people safe and secure and believing in social responsibility and sustainability. Until next time, everyone, goodbye for now.